Okay, today we discuss regarding IO operations in C and why these operations are useful. We all know programs are collection of instructions and instructions work on a set of data. That's why we use variables to store this data in memory and make those variables accessible to the program or functions. Now the question is how to assign the data values to these variables. Okay, so there are two ways to do that. First, we all know during design time, we can assign any values to compatible variables using assignment operator or equal to operator. Like we declare a variable a of integer data type like int a and then assign a value like 5 to this variables a using a simple instruction a equal to 5. That's it. Second, during runtime, because in most cases an interactive program reads data during the time of execution, or a single variable can take multiple values on different situations. The values which are to be assigned to the variables often depends on the user, so that we need to have some input functions. Input functions which can take inputs from input stream which are associated with standard input devices, maybe physical device like keyboard or maybe logical device like file, or from users during execution. Similarly, during execution or after execution, the program must have some result or must have some output which are to be stored in a file or to be displayed to the outside world or to the user. So again, we must have some output function which can store result in memory or simply write it into output stream which are associated with the physical device like monitor or terminal or any file, so that users can see. Now we discuss input and output functions for performing input and output operations. Here we see the output functions are broadly classified into two categories: unformatted IO functions and formatted IO functions. These functions are collectively form standard IO library. So first we discuss on unformatted functions. They are most basic IO functions which are sometimes compact, efficient and simple, but they do not allow to supply input or display output in user-defined format. These functions are mainly used for character and string data type. Unformatted IO functions do not contain format specifier and more than one variable passed as an argument or as the parameters. So they cannot read or they cannot write more than one variable at a time. So in this chart, we again see that unformatted functions are further classified as character-based and string-based functions. Later, we will discuss on them in detail. Now, formatted functions. What is formatted functions? They are actually most commonly known input-output functions which are already used almost in all C programs. The examples are very much known to us, that is scanf and printf. They fell in this category and we use them already in our programs many times. These scanf and printf functions can actually read or write more than one variables of similar or different data types at a time and display on terminals or monitors in user-defined format. Formatted I/O functions contain format specifier in their syntax. We will discuss on formatted I/O functions in the next class. Today we read or we will know about different I/O functions of unformatted types. Okay, this is unformatted I/O functions. Some examples of unformatted I/O functions. Here we see two I/O functions, getChar and putChar. These functions are character-based I/O functions. That means these functions can handle only single character at a time. Like getChar. getChar reads input from standard input stream or stdin or keyboard and returns character to some character type variables. Now, here we see in the prototype that getChar returns int data type. Why int data type is returned here? Because the returned value, that is obviously character data type, that is promoted to integer value. We can use integer variable as well as character variables to take the values of getChar, to take the values of return values of getChar. Okay, we will see in an example later. Similarly, putChar, it writes on standard output stream or monitor. The character to be printed is passed into the function as an argument, and after successful writing, that character is returned itself. Both of these two functions are available in stdio.h header files. So here we see an example of basic input-output functions. putChar and getChar functions are used here. getChar takes a value from keyboard and assigns it to a variable of character data type. We already declare a variable that is not in a character data type, that is of integer data type. And we see that ch equal to getChar. Whatever we have pressed or typed from the keyboard, that should be a character that will be assigned to ch. Before assigning to ch, the data type of that character will be promoted to integer data type, and ch will contain the ASCII value of that character actually. To print the value of these variables, we use putChar and pass this variable as an argument to this function. The main disadvantage of these functions is that they do not accept more than one character at a time. That is one problem. Okay, again we see two more input functions which are called getch or getch. Both are similar in work and available in conio.h header files. They are not available in stdio.h because they are not the part of C standard library. Both of these functions read a single character like getChar from keyboard, but as they don't have any buffer storage, the entire character is immediately returned without waiting for the enter key, and at the same time program also terminates from execution. Here we see one example. Whenever we press any key, printf function will say that press any key. Whenever we press any key, next printf function, that is you type, that printf function will be executed. We don't need to enter or need to press any enter key. Whenever we type from the keyboard, next printf statement will be executed and it will say that you press whatever we have typed. You press H here. So this is the difference between getch and getchar. Getch don't have any storage buffer, so they don't temporarily store any data which are typed from the keyboard. Now we see these two functions are important functions because they are string based functions, IO functions. String based unformatted IO functions. They work on string or array of characters. First we discuss getch. This is an input function which read a line of text from a standard input or stdin until a new line character appears. All the characters read by getch function are stored in a character array to make it a string. The prototype of getch function is shown here. We can see an array of character is passed through an argument to this function, and the function also returns a character arrays to some character array variables. Now we see putsh function. Putsh function is very similar to printf function. It is the output function or counterpart of getch. You can say it is a counterpart of getch. This function is used to print the string on standard output or terminals. The putsh function returns an integer value which represents the number of characters which are to be displayed, including a new line characters. Okay. As an argument, we will see in the next examples programs. As an argument, not only the variables, we can pass a constant string or a fixed sentence, fixed text of lines as the argument to this function. Here we see an example of getch and putsh functions. First, printf function says the hello students, welcome to basic IO operations. Okay. Putsh function, now see that we pass a fixed constant string of characters, enter your full address between inverted comma. Okay. And we already declare a variable, addr variable of character array type, which are passed through getch function. Now we have typed our total full address, MSDP, Khas Jungle, Awas, Ittari, etc., which are assigned through getch function to addr character strings, and that character strings are also displayed by the putsh function because we pass that addr character array as an argument to putsh function, and putsh function writes or displays this message. Whatever we typed from our keyboard, which are cached out by the getch functions and which are assigned to addr character arrays. Okay. Okay. Next time we discuss formatted IO, that means scanf or printf, with some more examples of both formatted and unformatted IO functions. Okay. Thank you.